Well, hey everyone, I am back doing another interview. It's been quite a long time since I did one, and I am the environmental career coach, Laura Thorne. I was a habitat restoration manager and all kinds of GIS programs and artificial reef coordinator for Hillsborough County quite a while ago, but I am still involved with the EPR podcast, and that is how I met my friend here today. Sotiria Anagnostou is here, and I want to just chat up to her about the things that she does, and and just dive right into it. So, I have to say all the things like hit the subscribe button and like and all of that I'm supposed to say. And I have open Q&As on several Fridays of the month, so just check the social media and all of that and see when I'm having them if you want to stop by and ask your own question. But let me jump in. So, Sotiria, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be with you.
Yeah, we had a lot of behind the scenes chat before we got started here. So some of this we've already talked about. So I'm going to ask you again, if you can tell me where you work and what you do now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work in corporate sustainability. Right now, I am the head of climate risk technical services for a consulting company that engages with commercial real estate owners and investors. So I do a lot of physical risk assessments, but then also what do we do with those assessments? How do we make buildings and companies more resilient and adaptable to climate change, and also reduce their impact on the environment as well? So I've been working in the corporate sustainability space for over 15 years, really excited about the momentum of physical risk and companies thinking about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've been doing it a while. And so for someone who doesn't have a job yet in sustainability and maybe looking as a consultant, which is one option for what you could do in sustainability, are you sourcing your own clients? Does the company find them for you? How do you know what you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I'm fairly new into consulting. I've just been consulting for a year or so, and prior to that, I worked within a large company. So I didn't have clients. I worked inside the company, and so working as a consultant, it's a bit of both. So the company I work for has an established set of clients, so I'm able to jump right into the projects that they're working on, which is really nice to have that stability. But there is an expectation that I continue to branch out and do business development and advance what I'm able to contribute as a consultant, and then kind of pitch that to potential new clients as well. So there's definitely some of both of those things. But I think if you're thinking to join the sustainability space, being a consultant's a great opportunity to get a lot of experience and work with a large team of people who are working in sustainability. Unlike when you go right into a corporate setting, those teams are very small. So you might be just part of a team of 2 or 3 other people who are doing sustainability work, which is great. And it's a different perspective. But sometimes it's hard to learn some of those things if you're, only working with a couple other people who work in sustainability or on climate and environmental issues.
That sounds like an awesome job. But also, okay, you do have to do some of your own sales. Do they train you to do that? Or is that something that someone is looking into that kind of work should start doing on their own?
Thinking through how to do that. Oh, sorry, my camera got a little fuzzy, I think. But I'm not necessarily trained on it. Yes, sales, exactly. So sales is tricky. And I think for a lot of us, like, we didn't think we wanted to go into sales. We wanted to stay in a different career and didn't want to do sales. And so it's not very natural, or not something that I've thought a lot about. But over the past couple of years, I realized that we're always in sales. We're always selling ourselves and the work that we're doing. So I haven't seen too many companies put consultants through like a sales training or a business development training. They try to help, like, have you learn it on the job and view other people. But from my perspective, I'm spending a decent amount of time researching these things, trying to pick them up through, following social media influencers who are working in this space or educating people on how to do it, and constantly refining how I communicate the value of the work I can do, because that's really how you're gonna move the needle as far as like finding new clients and getting them to sign up with you. So it's definitely something I've had to think about myself, and would encourage people to start tackling as part of their skill set as they beef that up, and to be able to go into, a corporate or business setting.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so you mentioned that you worked within a company, but then now are doing consulting. So what are some key differences for someone to decide which of the, or should they apply for both types, or is a certain personality type better for one or the other?
I love having both experiences, and I think I kind of always thought I would try to keep both, and I would recommend that for people so that their future options are diverse as well, that they could do both of those things, which opens up your job market. I can understand why being, trying to pick a lane might make sense, and you have to balance being narrow between being broad, but I like both. So being in-house, you're part of a company, you're part of that whole company culture, and you're integrated within it. But like I said, you're working probably part of a smaller team. Sustainability isn't likely the main topic of that business. So they might be selling a product or selling something else, and you are trying to find ways to integrate your work into that. Whereas in consulting, if you're fully in sustainability or climate risk like I am, then I'm working with, 20 other people who have similar backgrounds to me, have similar thought process, which makes the camaraderie a little easier. I'm not constantly trying to show how sustainability fits into the work when sustainability is the work. But if you do consulting and then haven't worked on the client side, then it could be challenging to make sure that what you're recommending to your clients is valuable and useful for them. So I really like being able to have both, but I think that, obviously, you can go anyway, but I think being able to keep yourself broad enough to be able to do both is a really great skill set to have as you continue to move forward in your career.
Okay, that's super helpful. And then your experience. So you have a PhD, right?
I do have a PhD. Yeah. So I knew from an early age I wanted to work in sustainability and help solve climate issues. And there just weren't a lot of jobs at that time when I was graduating from undergrad. Plus I knew I really wanted to work and help corporations become less damaging to the environment. And I knew to have the ability to really make an influence. And at that time when there were hardly any jobs, I knew I needed to build a little bit of time. So for me, it made sense to stay in school. Plus I liked working with students and thought if I wanted to be a college professor, then that would be a good fit too. So that was also part of that trajectory.
Perfect. When you have moved several different places to go to different schools. So for, again, my audience who is like, I don't know where to go to school. How do I pick my program? Does it matter which college I go to? Which is a frequent question. How did you determine you were going to go to Michigan and then go to Arizona and then go to Boston?
Yeah.
I probably don't
For
have
me, that's okay. So I did undergrad at Marietta College in Ohio, and then my master's at Boston University, and then my PhD at Arizona State. For me, it was program specific. So I knew I wanted certain topics. And so I picked a program that allowed me to really stay focused on that topic. So my master's was energy and environmental analysis. I wanted this intersection between climate science, economics, and like the policy drivers to make these things happen. And that's what I was able to get from that program. And then my PhD, I really wanted to study how people in communities adapt to climate change, and weren't a lot of programs that would allow me to have this like broad set of thinking, and Arizona State University had that program. I think there's a lot more programs now, so there's a lot more to pick and choose from, but it does kind of matter where you go to school. I didn't really know that it did when I was in school, but you gain a network by where you go to school and who you are. And so trying to think and asking those questions of like, who's already graduated from this program and are they still engaged with, helping students find or graduates find jobs, and thinking through what that community looks like as part of your degree is really valuable too, and just as much as the topic itself, I would say.
Okay, I love that because there's students who are on their undergrad graduate path and they're trying to decide which graduate school to go to. But then there's a lot of career changers who don't have a lot of money, aren't sure they want to go back to school. They might just want to continue their learning. And so I usually tell them that it doesn't matter. Pick the programs you like. However, but what you said about the reason for choosing the good school with the network is way important, especially for the recent graduate who's looking for the next program, probably more so than a career changer who may already have a network or is just trying to fill that gap. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a bit case by case, and I like your breakdown of it. I grew up in Indiana, so a lot of my peers growing up weren't thinking about sustainability or climate. So it makes sense to go into a program where you can build that network that you may not have. And so if you're already a career person and have connections at large corporations, then you just need the sustainability skill set to get the maybe referral from some of those people to help you get those roles or to network or help, introduce you. But if you don't have that network, then really thinking about how to build that sustainability network or a larger network in general to help you. As much as we want things to be really, you apply online and the best candidate gets it. So much of the world is about knowing people and building a relationship that then they can trust you and know that you can adapt to whatever challenges come in the workplace or whatever new topic there is. And so really focusing on building that network and showcasing how you can contribute is really important.
Yeah, which I think brings us to our final discussion, which was our topic that we wanted to talk about was your involvement with the Phoenix sustainability professionals and then the AZ clean climate tech community.
Yeah, exactly. So, cool. Okay, so, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, tell us about them and then let's talk about how they're different and same.
So I moved back to Arizona a couple of years ago for a job, and I was really excited to move back because I went to grad school here and like being here, but didn't have a network of sustainability people. So I was working for a corporation as their sustainability head, and I was the only person. I had a team of 0 at the time. And so I built connections within the business, but they didn't really understand sustainability or climate. And I was looking for a networking group in town of people that I could, collaborate or ask questions to or build relationships with, and there just wasn't one. So I met one other person that was doing corporate sustainability, and we decided to set up a meetup for that. And that's our Phoenix Sustainability Professionals. That was about 2.5 years ago. Now it's grown to a network of over 300 people locally. We host meetups quarterly where we have around 50 to 60 attendees each time. And they're all people that are thinking about sustainability and climate change and environmental issues and are working in the space. So you can ask them questions and really build that camaraderie. So that's been really important for me to have a sense of community here. And it's been great. We can get people that are students to come build networks from us. People have found jobs through that network, found internships, quite a few now that the community is established. And so I'm really proud and excited about that network that we've been able to build here. But then on top of that, I'm really interested in climate technology and the development of this new technology that's going to help us solve some of these big environmental and climate change issues. And that's a whole different group of people. So now you've got entrepreneurs, people who want to build either physical technology or software or companies that can help build those tools. And so that's the AZ Clean Tech community, which we've established. And that has been to pull in those entrepreneurs and get them thinking about how do you build a company that can help us solve these challenges? How do you fundraise for climate and clean tech, which is different than, finding investors for other types of software, where there's lots of investors for those areas. And so it's very much like, how do you understand venture capital? How do you build a business? How do you build a team that can be technical and develop the technology while also selling the product and building relationships with potential customers? So you can work in sustainability or climate, and there's a lot of different places to do it. If you're entrepreneurial minded, you can build a business or build a technology and work through those things. Or if you like doing business, you can work for a startup in that space and help with business development or help find funding for those types of things. But if you prefer a little bit more of a corporate structure, then you can work in corporate sustainability. And we're focused on, building sustainability reports, communicating to investors why this is valuable for the company, and getting people at the organization to see their own roles through a sustainable lens. So a lot of that is working with supply chain and educating them on how climate change, how emissions changes based on the type of transportation that you use. So there's a lot of different areas to work in sustainability, and it's hard to understand how they all connect and how they're all different. But I'm hoping to continue to build that through these two groups and helping to merge them so that they can work a little bit more closely together, despite being kind of different in the type of work that they do.
Yeah. When you go to the two different events, do you get like a different vibe?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, climate tech vibes are very much like the Silicon Valley vibes. Like, we're here to build something new, technology. Like, where are the large investors who can give us capital? Because you have to build something before you can get customers to use it. The other thing is, like, a lot of they're building climate related technology, and that could be a lot of different things: clean energy, EVs, software to support those types of things. But they also don't necessarily understand corporate sustainability or ESG. So ESG being the metrics that we use to evaluate like a company's sustainability initiative, but ESG gets some rough. It can get very political. So we've got people in the climate tech industry that hate ESG. They don't get it. They don't understand it. Whereas my corporate sustainability group, we're dealing with ESG on an everyday basis. We fully understand it and understand the value of it. And so sometimes merging those two groups can not feel like we're moving in the same direction.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I had a similar experience in Syracuse when I was trying well, we were working on starting an NAEP group in Syracuse, and we had pretty good turnouts. And that was, mostly people working either in consultants or biology or conservation. And so it's very environmental science based, some sustainability. But then you go to green drinks, which is more just like, a hangout. And it was so much renewable energy and solar and salespersons. And there were even activists there who were adamantly against the things that the people at the the environmental group would. And so it's really interesting how you can go to one green space and then go to another green space and they're different.
That's so, I completely agree. And I would love to find ways to bridge that gap, because I think we're all trying to get to similar places, but we don't do that. I find the same with some type of environmental activists. They don't like corporate sustainability people because they feel like we're enabling those companies to greenwash. And it's like, wait, we're literally working in the trenches every day with people who don't necessarily see the value of the work that we're doing, but they know that they need us there. So I wish we could all support each other a little bit, because I think we're trying to get to the same place, just from different directions. So I definitely get that, Laura.
I had an activist attack me about a pipeline that was being built. And I was like, first of all, I have nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So it's going to get built. So you want to have some biologists there to make sure it's built to its best point, but not having us there is not going to stop it from getting built. So
yeah, that's completely, we're on the same mindset there. I totally get that. And I've had many instances like that too, which is another reason why it's so important to have community when working in this space. So you've got somebody to help you move on from some of those conversations or structure your response in an appropriate way. But I'm finding my community and network and sustainability to be so important, just to have the support that I need.
I agree. And I think because it's hard once you start, because that is a reality. There is a reality that progress still happens. And for every step forward you take, sometimes it feels like two steps back. And that can be really disheartening. But if you spend a lot of your time with other people who are fighting the same fight and understand what you're going through and have their own challenges, oh, that happened to you yesterday. Guess what happened to me last week? Like, not that you're always commiserating, you're also celebrating things together, but just being around people who understand the nuances and all the different elements of it. I think that's one thing that, especially young people today, when they first jump into this planet saving impact career and then find out how depressing some of the actual ongoing everyday things can be.
Yeah. And I think we're in a unique spot too, with some external forces that might feel like there's a pushback on sustainability and climate and ESG reporting as well. But I think your community then helps remind you that we're still moving forward. There is still momentum. So I don't want people to feel too offset by some of the things that might be happening politically and across just the world in general. But there's still a lot of movement out there. There's still a lot of jobs. Corporations understand that climate risk is financial risk and that they need to think about it to protect themselves too. So there's still a lot of momentum moving forward. And I think that's just really important for everyone to know and remember, despite any kind of external challenges.
Exactly. And you're also one of the like first generation sustainability people, and the ones that started this 10, 15 years ago, they started businesses and they started programs and they started stuff that are now hiring, and now they've gotten funding and they've gotten through their customer approval process and all of that, and they're actually going to market. So there's more opportunities opening up just because so much has started, in the past, and now it's just building on that. So I think it's an exciting time to be in the field if you can keep your blinders on and focus on what is happening versus what is not happening or coming undone.
That's exactly a good mindset, Laura, and I think really important. Just keeping focused on not letting the noise get to you, like putting your blinders on to that external noise, staying like mission value focused, and keep moving forward, because that's where the industry is, trying not to let the noise get to them. And that's what I would encourage for everyone else in this space too, or that wants to get in this space.
Right. And the media is loving this right now, all the doomsday, all the everything. So be weary of
The
the media.
chaos.
Everything to terribleness. But so yeah, we should wrap up. I just wanted to see if you have any other bits of advice that you like to share when you're mentoring for the career seekers out there, because that's what we're here for right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing I want to just remind people is think about what you like to do, what you want to do, and the skills you want to build, and then brainstorm how you can do that and where it's most valuable. Is it valuable within a startup? Is it valuable within starting a startup? Or is it valuable within a corporation and kind of pushing initiatives forward that might already be strategized, but now you're implementing them? So thinking critically about what you like to do, and then doing some research on how that fits in, asking people, how does this skill set fit in with this type of work? And then I think that will be really helpful in how you communicate your value and really nailing those interviews and getting the jobs.
Yes, I love that. And you started a TikTok. Would you like to share that for people can follow you? And
I
learn more
did
about
start a
what
TikTok.
it
Thank
is
you,
to be a corporate sustainability executive?
Yeah, exactly. I'm still getting my grounding, so the content's a little hairy, but I really want to continue to share what it's like working in corporate sustainability, and that corporations are doing something around sustainability and climate change and climate risk. I know they're not doing enough, but they are doing something. And I think that shows that there's momentum in this space that's not going to die down no matter what happens. So the TikTok is Dr. Sotiria, climate exec. I'm also active on LinkedIn, so happy to connect on LinkedIn too. But let's give that TikTok a shot and see if I can make those videos really, really work and educate some people and build a community that way too. Thanks, Laura.
Awesome. Well, I will follow with my TikTok. And if you liked this video, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. And I will hopefully start doing more of these. I'm trying to just keep them quick and casual, and so I can get them out there so people looking for jobs can learn more about what's out there and how we deal with working in this environment. So thank you, Sotiria. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura. Bye, everyone.